Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We have two major pieces of news today. That second chapter, that second article, you definitely want to see. It proves it's a setup. I've been saying this all along. We'll get there in a moment. You don't have to agree, but I'm telling you, that's what it's showing me. We'll get there in a moment. But first, let's get through this first article, which is exposing even more. This article is titled, Ripple CEO Calls Out Wall Street for Hypocrisy Over Crypto's Access to Fed Master Accounts. Why? They've already embraced XRP, so that's not the problem. It's not the problem at all. They've embraced the infrastructures. That's not the problem. What's this all about? This is about power. This is about power over those trillions. This is about who's going to be in charge of those trillions. That's why they want the Fed master accounts. That's why they want to become, or at least have subsidiaries as banks, right? Ripple wants to have a bank. That's what they're going against. Why? So you mean to tell me the banks have embraced XRP, the infrastructures, RLUSD, all that stuff like that, although some of them are against stable coins, rightfully so, but they're going to accept them anyway because they have to bow the knee. They have to bend the knee. They're not in charge. But those are not the problem here. Why don't they want crypto to become banks and have that very same access that they have? Why? Let's read this here and then I'll give you my thoughts. They're exposing everything for those who are paying close attention. Here we go. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse has criticized Wall Street banking lobbyists for opposing the entry of crypto firms into the U.S. banking system. They're not talking about the utilization of the native crypto here. They're going to tell you themselves, but I want to preempt that, so people don't automatically think this is about XRP. No, it's not. It's not about XRP. It's not about RLUSD or infrastructures. No, it's about them becoming a bank. Or maybe they have I don't know how they're going to do this, but that's what it's about. Let's keep going. So that's why they're phrasing it into the U.S. banking system. He said these lobbyists are working to block companies like Ripple from obtaining access to the Federal Reserve's master accounts, which are essential for institutions that directly interact with the U.S. central bank. Why? People are not understanding the everything that's on the table, and it all leads to trillions scaled into quadrillions. There is how can I say this so that YouTube doesn't. The old king must abdicate his throne. The old king passes away and someone new sits on the throne. That's what's about to happen. They don't want that. They're saying, I'm still here as a banking system. I'm trying to make this as simplified as possible. I'm still here. I still function. Doesn't matter. There's someone new, someone better. They do it better. They don't really need you. You're just being allowed to continue on because as of now, you are a part of the substratum of the financial system. But their question is, how long does that leeway last? Because at some point, they're no longer, if you build a new base, then what is the old substratum? The old substratum is nothing. You have a new substratum that's even more firm, even better, even more liquid, has true global reach. Then you don't need them. They're worried about that. So the only leverage they have right now is their positioning. That makes sense. The old system only has their positioning. So what Ripple is doing, it has been a two-pronged attack. That's why there's so much covert thing. There's so many covert things going on. Like if you look at all the different banks that work with Swift, most of them are working with Ripple. Why? If that's the case, almost knocked my stuff over. If that's the case, then why are they working with Swift if they're working with Ripple? People have to ask these questions. Why are they praising Ripple so much? I rarely hear them praise Swift. People need to ask these questions. Ripple's working with all the powerful entities across the world, even the ones that people want to say they're supposed to be enemies. They're working with Swift. They're working with the BRICS nation. The BRICS nation's supposed to come out with their currency. Ripple's working with a lot of banks over there in the BRICS nation. But they're also working with a lot of banks in Swift. Why is that? Why is that? Do you understand how much power that gives them quietly? Shh, quietly? Most people aren't perceiving that. So if they're all working with Ripple, then what becomes the new substratum, the new substantial layer of the financial system? Bank coins. Ripple's working with Hedera, right? Ripple's working with Cardano. Cardano's trying to work with Chainlink, which means that vicariously, Ripple will be working with Chainlink if in the future Cardano works with Chainlink. Chainlink is working with Swift, but I don't take Swift seriously. I really don't. This is my humble opinion. I really don't. I'm looking at what they actually are attempting to do, what they're actually saying, not the sensationalism out there, and they're just building this overarching hollow facile system is really nothing. So hoping and praying that the banks with their preferred DLTs, please let them connect to our blockchain. That's all they're doing because they know, think about this. If the banks have their own systems and those systems, let's say they built on the XRPL, right? You follow me? If those systems are already part of a network like RippleNet, then what do they need Swift for in the future? They're already a part of a network, RippleNet. That's one example. We have a bunch of bank coins. They all flow one into the other. Oh my word. Think about that for a minute. Then what do they need Swift for? The legacy banks for? That's what this is about. This is about power and positioning. We read recently, maybe within the last 5 videos, another expert company who their job is to look into the fees and everything that the banks heap on top of a system, even with the new DLT additions, etc., to the legacy system, to Swift. I'm just combining them together. And yes, I know the whole messaging aspect of Swift and all that, blah, blah, blah. They separate that from the way the banks actually move the value, which is still intertwined. So it makes no difference. There's still that connection there. Nonetheless, those professional companies said, listen, even with all of that, they still have an insane amount of fees. And even I showed that in screenshots. Did I not? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. So how is that system? How is it reasonable to believe that system can compete? They can't. Now, they don't want to let go of those trillions, although they're very upset that they have to hand it over. They're very upset about that. So now, let's go back to this. Keep all that in mind, right? I think we're doing good on the time. I'm trying to be as thorough as possible in these last few videos. You see yesterday's video. If you like these type of videos here where, if you like these type of videos, take those powerful hands of yours and just hit that like button. All right. All right. And I'll keep them coming. Now, it says here, traditional institutions argue that the crypto industry, blah, blah. Let me read it. You know what? Let me be fair and just read it. I was going to just not read that part, but let me do it anyway. You may want to hear that. Traditional institutions argue that the crypto industry should be held to the same standards for money laundering protections and other illicit finance safeguards as traditional financial businesses. That's not the only thing. Did you see yesterday's video? Even if you don't watch the first chapter, watch that second chapter to hear it right from the document itself. Holy smokes. It's the setup of the year, the secret of the year. Now we know why everyone wants to issue a stable coin. They're about to get free money. Where did they say? I'm listening. Where did they say that money used to go? And now it's going to who? Whom? Right. Now we know. They're upset about that also, but you have to know that information to know why they're going so hard. They're losing it all. Don't you see how whoever these cloaked leaders of the legacy financial system are? Don't you see how they're handing the keys, the golden keys, over to crypto? Let's not say crypto, to the bank coins. Do you not see this? So, if you think not, right, and you can disagree. People disagree with me all the time. Fine. I'm fine with that. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm going to enjoy my life before this little short life is over. I'm going to enjoy my life. I'm not going to spend it arguing with anyone. To each his own. So, if you did watch that video yesterday, can you explain to me how it's not handing over the golden keys to crypto if the legacy system never got to play with that type of capital? They've never been given that kind of opportunity. But the Bankcoin companies are about to get the opportunity. The Bankcoin companies are about to get to play with that capital that nobody else was able to play with. You don't think that upsets them a little bit? You don't think that that's handing over the golden keys? And why would that happen? Why would they do that? Because when you have a new golden person, right? That's you should say golden boy, golden girl, whatever. That's somebody who's highly favored, right? The old guard, the ones who are at the top, not these ones that are complainers in the middle and, about to be eliminated. I mean, no disrespect, but that's how I look at it. What do they call that? They like to be really, really nice so they can benefit from you. They believe that being really, 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 really kind and nice and giving to you means that you may do that in return. One hand washes the other. And they want that value from XRP skyrocketing. They want that value from the tokenization of everything. They need to make sure that goes smooth. And they need to make sure that when they ask that the Bankcoin companies will keep everything state of the art cutting edge so that value will flow. They know also most people are going to sell. Yeah, they are. Yes, they are. They're going to sell way before those prices hit their peak. My humble opinion. I've seen it already. I lived through it. You know how many people came to me in real life, not on the internet, in the real life. Mick, I sold this or that. This is in the first explosion of bull run. Oh, Mick, I sold this and that. I wish I didn't. And then it exploded again. Then again. Certain things. They know most people are going to sell, so they're not worried. They're looking to acquire more crypto each and every single time they manipulate the markets and the price goes down. Think not, wait until we get to that second article. That's my thing today, pointing. I don't know why. I'm just woo way. I just go with the flow. It's just happened. It's how naturally. Wait until we get to that second article. You think it's not a setup, huh? Really? Okay, just wait. Trust me on them. Well, you don't have to trust me, but just wait. I'm going to show you. Now, let's keep going. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit here. Just a little bit. This next section is titled Crypto Companies Line Up for OCC Licenses. Really? Crypto companies have encountered challenges in obtaining access from the Fed or even in understanding how it can be granted. Ripple recently applied for a Federal Reserve master account through its wholly owned subsidiary, Standard Custody and Trust Company, to hold RLUSD reserves directly with the Fed. Around the same time, the company applied for a national banking license from the U.S. Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. And when they accomplish that, game over. They're on the throne at that moment. The legacy system is off the throne. They know it. They can't compete. They can't even compete with non-banking financial institutions. Legacy system, non-banking financial institutions. They've been complaining about them for years. We're about to take that value. They're going to have to run everything. The new golden child, the new golden person, the Bankcoin companies for the legacy system leaders and the governments is Bankcoin or are Bankcoins. That makes sense? Everything is going to flow through them. It must. They've been telling everyone all these years. Have they not? What did the BIS say? If you don't upgrade to DLT and new financial system, you'll be left behind. What's that sound like to you, huh? Huh? I had to go old school, huh? Remember people used to say that? Why'd you do it? Why'd you do that, huh? You talking to me, huh? I don't know why that sound, they used to make that sound for emphasis. You don't remember that? Oh, man, maybe you don't. I don't know. I don't know what area you're from. But yes. So BIS said that. Then Christopher Waller of the Fed, who continues to give interviews and look all of this up. You can look all of it up. Little Google search, Yahoo, Bing, whatever. AI, search it. You're going to see. Christopher Waller of the Fed said the same thing, but went a step further. He's given speeches to this day. He went a little bit further. He said, and I believe this is when he was addressing the financial system in India. He was saying that maybe everyone should wait for the private sector, because like I've been conveying all this time, the legacy system iterations, how they tried to copy us and they failed. They tried to copy DLT and everybody was afraid. They're copying us. They're not going to need us anymore. Remember they said that? Doesn't seem like it. Didn't seem like they surpassed us. Seemed like they're behind and still needing us because they were never given the golden key. They don't really understand the system. You can try to copy someone all you want. It's never going to be as good as the original. You don't understand the essence. You're all in the Kool-Aid, but don't know the flavor. Wait a minute. How does that make sense? That's something people used to say a long time ago. Remember that? You're all in the Kool-Aid. You don't know the flavor. Wait a minute. I guess in a way that makes sense. I guess. But that's sort of encompasses what they did. So he told he was speaking at that conference where they were addressing the Indian banking system, which the bank coins are deep over there as well. But when he said that for all of the banks, maybe we should wait for the private sector. Wait a minute. Who else said that? It was in another document separate from the other one that I referenced from the BIS. They also said people should wait for the private sector. What's the private sector? Who's at the forefront of the private sector? I'm pretty sure Ripple's one of them with XRP. Right. You see where this is all heading to? It's a setup. You don't have to believe it. I'm not here to convince you of anything. I'm here to present ideas. Hopefully I spark some thoughts and people think and ask questions. So now, let's continue on. They're laying it out for you. It says around the same time, the company applied for a national banking license from the U.S. Office of the Comptroller of Currency. Additionally, Circle Internet Group has filed for a national trust bank license, which would allow it to act as a custodian for its USDC stablecoin reserves and provide digital asset custody services to institutional clients. There's a multi-pronged thing happening here. Number one, they don't want to abdicate that throne. They know that this will be the beginning of such. 1. 2, they also fully understand, although they've been forced into the stablecoin. They've been forced to drink the stablecoin Kool-Aid. They also understand stablecoins are poking holes like a shank. They're just poking holes in the system that's already bleeding out. And they understand, whoa, wait a minute. We have commercial real estate problem. Wait a minute. We've been having losing clients and customers for a long time now to non-banking financial institutions. That's never stopped. We have a lot of problems in the banking industry. We don't need another one where now there could be bank runs at any time at the press of a button. They also understand that. And now they're really upset now that it's been exposed that, did you see the video yesterday? Right. They're not happy about that. Yeah. So now, which shows that there is a new kid on the block, and that kid, Bankcoin Companies, is highly favored. Now, hold on. It continues. It says, however, no public decision has been made approving any of these recent OCC charter applications or master account requests for these companies in 2025. It says, instead, the Federal Reserve Act and OCC regulations allow any eligible depository institution to apply. However, regulators have been cautious, arguing that most crypto firms pose heightened risk related to liquidity. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Who's had the bank runs happening the last 3 years has been the legacy system banks, from SVB to the bank that collapsed this year. Mick, that's just the West. Did you not see, what was it, a year ago or two, when those banks went down in China or whatever happened with them, and then the leaders of those banks literally took the money and ran? I'm not making this up. I know a lot of new people are here. They literally ran away with the money. The people were standing outside those banks protesting. You don't remember that? We watched it happen live. I'm just giving an example. I could go further. I could go further. So that's ridiculous. They're the ones with the problems, not the bank coin companies, but okay. Custody and compliance. The OCC has slowed and denied several applications since 2022, but this is not 2022. The times have changed. Things are different. Hence why there's now this. They're very upset because Ripple bank coins are getting everything that they want. It's only going to accelerate. It has been accelerating. So it says here, Garlinghouse says RLUSD has made things easier. Ripple, which has recently RLUSD is just a shell, a Trojan horse, and what's inside the Trojan horse? XRP. That's why it's probably not the last quote, but one of the last powerful quotes Garlinghouse made. He was talking about XRP with glee, and in iterating once more how XRP is at the forefront of everything. I know, we know. RLUSD, even the ECB, Europe is looking to find ways to severely limit US dollar denominated stablecoins from coming over there. If that's happening with their own allies, you think that these dollar-based stablecoins are really going to be allowed long into the future to just proliferate globally? No. So then how does that value move? Wait a minute. You would need a bridge currency. Wait a minute. XRP is a bridge currency. See how we get so far? Just asking questions, right? Ripple has recently delved into the field of stablecoin. Issuers said banks are finally taking them more seriously. I told you. More seriously after years of difficulty in which the resistance from U.S. regulators made the financial firms reluctant to engage. Quote, I had meetings yesterday in New York City where banks that would not have talked to us 3 years ago are now leaning in and saying, how can we partner around this? What? Folks, I should have put that at the beginning of the video. How many people made it this far? 22 minutes and 7 seconds and he drops a bomb. He drops a bomb. My apologies. I'm going to get a little excited. Let me get just a little bit excited. Little bit. Mick, calm down. Don't hold me back. What's wrong with you? You don't hold a grown man back. I like to say that. You don't hold it. You know how they used to say, you don't hold a grown man back. You touch my radio. You don't touch a grown man's radio. They had all those phrases. I love it. I like excitement. Anyway, that's a bomb. Folks, right there. I had meetings yesterday in New York where banks, so he had meetings with banks. These banks, according to Garlinghouse, says, how can we partner with you? Really? Very interesting, Mr. Garland. So you just took the opportunity to tell us. I really wish I would have put this at the beginning of the video. Hopefully people made it this far. Clip this piece and send it to your people. Tell them to read this article. Screenshot this piece and send it everywhere. Let everybody read this and rip it apart. He took the opportunity to tell everybody he's talking to more banks on Wall Street. This is New York City. Wait a minute. Let me put my hand up. I may need to make this a chapter. This may be a second special edition video. It might be a little longer. Every video is not going to be longer now. I know some people are thinking, is Mick going to make all his videos so long? No, but even though you could fast forward the video, you can put it on 2x, 3x speed, something like that. But no, this just happens that we're getting some potent information. Folks, think about this. So Ripple is in New York talking to banks that are asking how they can partner with Ripple, while just maybe 2-3 weeks ago, BlackRock, look these articles up if you didn't see the videos that I made and I showed the screenshots. BlackRock was saying how they were trying to get more banks on Wall Street involved in crypto. You don't think that there's a connection there? They could have been anywhere. Ripple could have been anywhere on the globe. There's banks everywhere. There's value everywhere. Money on the table to scrape up. Folks, there's a connection here that they're showing. They don't even know it. They didn't expect us to be so perspicacious, but we are. BlackRock and Ripple are in on something covertly. Well, we know they're working together. We just don't know the degree, right? But we see the machines, gears turning. I'm going to let that rotate in my mind. We'll come back to that a little bit later. All right. So now I could go deeper with this. I don't want to make this too long. So let me just get to a little bit of Bitcoin news. Maybe we'll come back to this tomorrow, because I just had a bunch of thoughts just pop into my head based on what we just read, which was unbelievable. So now let's go to a little bit of Bitcoin news. All right. A little bit of Bitcoin news. Now, this is what I wanted people to see also. This article is titled Bitcoin Price Falls to $110,000. No big deal, but that's not the important part. As Bitcoin corporate adoption hits record highs. You don't see the setup in that? Adoption hit record highs. So it's skyrocketing as the price went down. Folks, they're proving the rigging, the setup, the manipulation, bring the price down, let the companies get a more reasonable entry level. Meanwhile, also exacting a measure of control over the markets, the big dog barking on the small dogs, the conditioning, etc. It says Bitcoin is holding steady in the 110,000s today, a little over a week after surging to a new all-time high of $126,000. Bitcoin price slipped from 24-hour highs near $113,600 to low $110,000s today. This price action follows a rough weekend that saw over $19 billion in leveraged positions liquidated. We know that. So let's skip over that a little bit here. Here's the section. Bitcoin and growing interest. Corporate interest in Bitcoin accelerated sharply in the third quarter of 2025 with 172 public companies now holding the cryptocurrency. Folks, 172? You see how this could accelerate and why they're so bullish? All these so-called experts are so bullish on Bitcoin. So it says a 38.7% increase from the previous quarter, according to Bitwise Asset Management's latest corporate Bitcoin adoption report. The total Bitcoin held by public firms climbed to 1.02 million BTC, representing nearly 4.9% of the entire Bitcoin supply. That marks a 20.9% increase quarter over quarter, driven by new entrants and major additions from existing holders at prices of roughly $114,000. Right. They're moving very strategically and hoping no one notices, because every once in a while they stoke everyone's emotions. Not mine, but they use the media to swing people's emotions. You can't think clearly when you're emotional. So maybe they hope maybe the people don't notice that everything's getting rigged. So anyway, Bitcoin is looking super bullish, folks. Super bullish. So now that you have that information, I think we did good time. Now that we have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, everybody, let's get to the money.